Hello and welcome to Following On Ashes Inquest. I'm Jon Norman alongside Steve Harmison for the next half an hour. Available on talkSPORT 2, on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, and also via the Following On podcast feed. What a fantastic day. Harmy, a lot is going to be said and written about Joe Root. I'm just going to hold back on that for a second because the game is tantalisingly poised. 325 for 9 England. I just can't quite work it out because there were stages where the ball went soft, out of shape, and didn't seem to be doing a great deal. But on this, and England through Joe Root and Zach Crawley cashed in. But then there were other times when wickets were tumbling left, right, and centre. 3 ducks in the top 6. Another one for Bryden Cast. So 4 ducks in, a much vaunted batting order. I say it's 325 for 9, a good score, a bad score, an indifferent one, or are we just kind of all square going into day 2?
I think it's a good score. I really
Really?
do. I think it's a good score. I think we're in a position where we are. I think at 250 when Jofra, just after 250, 260 when Jofra walked out, I thought we were probably par score. That was an in-game score, but not a great score. I think this just tips the balance.
Yeah,
I think it's
close,
demoralising
right?
Australia.
Close.
Hey?
Close. It's
Yeah, I think that 50, 60 run partnership that the number 10's just put on, the number 11's just put on. I think there's a lot in this. I think there's been a lot on today. I think there's been a lot of mental scars going into the Test match from England's point of view. Australia have come on a crest of a wave. All of a sudden, the minute you start getting on top of Australia, you can see that they're actually not that good. You look at
That's the problem. They're without 3 of their best bowlers, for one.
Yeah, you look at, Starc's got 16 out of 29 wickets so far. You can see even with the batting in Perth, you look at Head, you took Head out of it. I know he was a blistering innings, and he wins a game. People would say take Joe Root out of today, and England aren't that good either, and I would agree. But I think there's vulnerabilities in this Australia side, and now England have got the score on the board. They've got an extra 10 minutes tomorrow when they've got a change of innings. So that's just taking an extra 10 minutes out of good batting time, which, even if England come out and bat for 5 minutes tomorrow, England actually could do if England bats 6 overs tomorrow, Australia are in a lot of trouble because something we'll probably come on to in a bit. They've only bowled 74 overs today. 74 overs today. Now, they don't bowl them out in 80 overs. Australia are in for a hefty penalty and World Test Championship points. So I think that is something I don't think is in England's feature, but it will be in Australia's dressing room. That's something else, just to sort of another negativity that goes towards Australia. I look at this today, John, and I go, do you know what? At the end of that last Test match, everybody's been going, I'm sick of hearing this is England. This is the way we play. This is the way we play. This was a stereotypical England day where we win the toss, we lose 2 early wickets, the greatest player that we've got walks out, Crawley looks $1 million, gets out airy-fairy, Pope looks frantic, something's going on with Harry Brook, and he throws his wicket away. Joe Root has to manage the middle order, go with the tail, and then we're now in a position where we've got an in-game score, possibly above par score, to try and win a Test match. This is England. This has been Baz McCullum for 3 years. So I think when people are getting frustrated about, this is the way we play after the last Test match. Well, this is the way we play after the day 1 of this Test match. Has actually got us in quite a good position.
Looking at that scorecard, it's more of a this is England when Joe Root was skipper. That's when he was walking to the crease, 20 for 2 or whatever every single innings. That was when, if he didn't score runs, England lost. But he has scored runs. What concerns me, Harmy, is the way and the manner, and I bumped into our big boss and he made this point as well, the manner that Joe Root went about his innings, and apart from that ridiculously difficult chance that was put down very early on in his innings, Steve Smith diving across Labuschagne, wouldn't have reached Labuschagne. He was chanceless. There wasn't a chance out there. Australia were trying to get the ball changed after about 20 overs. It was going out of shape. It was soft. And outside of that, frantic opening when England once again, lost 2 wickets in a blink of an eye, 5 for 2. You know, there was a 100-run partnership between Root and Crawley. The partnership between Brook and Root looked like it was pretty set. And even when Stokes got himself run out, you know, England looked relatively secure. And what concerns me, looking ahead to day 2, is that that's how Australia are going to bat.
Yeah, all points very, very well made and very, very valid. But I think the ball was doing a bit. The ball was doing a bit. I think there was an LBW shout on Joe Root. I think it was from Scott Boland, which got overturned. And
it wasn't overturned. They tried to overturn it.
They tried to overturn it, sorry. And it went down leg side. And that was the first sign. Yeah, that was the first sign. That was the middle of the afternoon, the first sign when the ball started doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, it's all, you can say the ball's doing a bit, but you've got to put the ball in the right area. I don't think Australia put the ball in a great area at all. I really didn't.
Totally
so
agree.
I think England can learn from that. So England can come back and they can learn from that. The areas that they bowl will need to be better.
Yeah.
I think there's needs to be an element of luck that if Australia's ball got soft, you hope England's don't. These are the rubber, the green you need.
Yeah, totally
So
agree.
if they do, fingers crossed it goes soft enough that it doesn't go through the rings and you can get it changed. So these will go in England's favour. I just think that on that surface, in them conditions, especially with England coming out tomorrow, even if they can eke out 15 minutes with a change of innings, 10 minutes, takes 25 minutes out of the proper, this is great time for batting, then all of a sudden it just pushes the can a bit further down the road to when the ball's going to start doing that little bit more. And you could see when Mitchell Starc had it, I look at this attack and go, do you know what? We've got Jofra Archer, and I think he is a class apart than the rest. I think the big one for me tomorrow will be Ben Stokes. I think Doggett and Nisa have got Atkinson and Cast covered. I think they cover each other, not a problem. But I think Stokes' point of difference, forget the Will Jack stuff, Stokes' point of difference. And if the ball starts zipping around and we've got Stokes and Archer on for 10, 15 overs at that key time when the ball started doing a bit, all of a sudden you make a breakthrough. It's very, very difficult to start. And as we've seen when Jamie Smith came in, it's very, very difficult to start. So they're the key timings tomorrow, which I think will change the context of this game. Or if Australia get through that passage, then they might be sitting in a position tomorrow afternoon where we're talking about them still batting at possibly 280 for whatever. And the game's in a balance.
What did you make of the Harry Brook dismissal? I won't read out the text or WhatsApp message that Jared Kimber sent me because it will get us all taken off air. But in terms of the timing and the shot itself, I mean, there's a lot there, right? There's first off, it's Mitchell Starc has been held back for twilight, and it's the fact that it's his second ball. And also it is the shot selection from Harry Brook and the fact that, it brings a new batter to the crease at the worst possible time to bat. And it's your skipper. Your thoughts?
Yeah, shot selection, shot execution, all that time. And I couldn't disagree with, I didn't see what Jared put, but I want to put it something similar to myself. Listen, there's something not quite right with Harry. There really is. And I'm concerned a little bit about that because he doesn't look his usual sort of steady self. He stands still at the crease. His head position's normally spot on, and he plays balls, from fourth, fifth stump comfortably. At this moment in time, them balls in fourth, fifth stump they're just a recipe to get him into so much trouble with the bounce of the ball in Australia. So it wasn't a great innings. He got 30 off 30 odd balls. It was very, very frantic. The ramp shot, I've got no idea what he was trying to do there. It was a great take by Carey, by the way.
It was absolutely amazing today, wasn't he, Carey?
Who had an amazing day, yeah. But Harry just doesn't seem... He's not far away. He'll be saying, I'm not far away. I'd be saying, I think you've got to park that ego just a little bit closer to the fence than you are to the middle, because it seemed as though it was like, right, Mitchell Starc's got 7 for the last game. He's their best bowler. I'm going to take him on.
He saw that in Perth as well, didn't you?
Yeah, and I don't think he's in that position. I don't think physically, I don't think technically he's quite in that position right now to take him on, because I think his head in his hands aren't working that well that he normally does when the ball's outside the fourth stump region. Also,
with Starc, you don't need to smash him out the attack. You're going to get a couple of 4 balls in there, and at the end of the day, he's not going to be bowling 8 over spells. it doesn't make sense in the same way that that it does against a Boland. Where you need to upset his rhythm and you need to force the captain into a decision about whether to keep him on or not. And actually, Boland was expensive again today, by the way.
He was.
So, yeah, I do agree with that. The other concern for me is I don't see Australia playing too many shots like the one that Ollie Pope did, the one Harry Brook, as we mentioned, did, the one that Will Jacks did. That again is a concern. They're not gonna perish in the same way. And of course, there is the other thing, which I always find it absolutely fascinating when two sides go into a test match with different tactics. Now, sometimes if your strength lies in a particular department, you can understand why, you would either stack it with spin bowlers if you got some good ones or stack it with fast bowlers if you got them. But that isn't the case, is it? Australia have dropped pretty much the second most successful spinner ever. So they've decided spin is not going to play a part. And England, of course, have replaced out-and-out fire and brimstone with Mark Wood with an off-spinner. So as we sit here, 74... By the way, another test where we bowled ridiculously low amount of overs. 74 overs into this. Which team has got it right?
I think England's got it right, because I think if it wasn't for Will Jackson's, what did he get? He only got 19. What did he get? 19 off 31 balls. That 19 off 31 balls was very, very valuable in the context of that 325. So I like the Jack selection. I think what a lot of people are missing, and this has been, I think, a frustration of mine, listening to all the nonsense from everybody leading after Perth and leading into the test match of, yes, it was a shocking performance at the end, but England have come here with a plan. They're going to practice at Lilac Hill, no matter what anybody else says. They're not going to Canberra, no matter what anybody else says. And why is Will Jackson in this squad? He's in this squad for one game, and that's this game, because we believe the depth of the batting and possibly a little bit of spin is our game plan, that we feel as though that can change the game the better for England. Lengthen our tail, get a few runs at the bottom of the order, make sure it's more, and have that little spin option up our sleeve. So I think England have got it right. I think 5 fast bowlers, when you haven't got a Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, and Ben Stokes' body, I think you don't need them when you're trying to protect them. I think there's no point having, if you pick Matt Potts, for a fact he's a thoroughbred and bowl 20 overs. So you don't need 5 seamers when you've got somebody up your sleeve like that. So I think that, for me, is a good selection. And I think the way Jack's played. I also look at what you said there about the way Australia play. And I think it comes down to pressure. And I think what I said before about Ben Stokes and Jofra Archer, yes, Australia are going to try and absorb the game. Yes, they will not take as many risks as England. But all of a sudden, if the ball's zipping about a bit and it's pitching on sort of middling off and it's going past off stump and you're playing miss at 3 and 4 balls and over and you're 110 for 110 for 3, and you look at that scoreboard and it says 350, and the way the ball's zipping around from both ends, that 350 is an awfully long way away when you're trying to absorb the game. You're 2 good balls, 2 bits of luck, DRS going your way from being game over. So there's absorbing the game, but this being aggressive and getting a score on the board, absorbing the game and potentially losing a couple of wickets when the ball's zipping about a bit, all of a sudden, which game plan is right and which game plan is wrong? So one that works. And that's where England have got to capitalise tomorrow. That 350, and make sure that they bat for half an hour tomorrow morning. Make sure that Australia bat for half an hour longer at a time when the ball is doing a little bit more. That, for me, would be scoreboard pressure if England, and it's a big if, can put the ball in the right area consistently and back up each other from either end. And that, for me, no matter how well Marnus Labuschagne plays with a pink ball, how good Steve Smith is in Ashes cricket, and how absorbing that Australia are very good with a game. You've got Josh Inglis at number 5, who's played 3 test matches. You've got Cameron Green, good player, but he's just been bowling. You've got Carey and you've got 3 number 11s. For me, England, I think, are a long, long way ahead in this game.
I don't know if I'd say that they've got 3 number 11s. Australia, I think one of the reasons they brought Nisa in is because he can bat and Mitchell Starc can as well. But yeah, I'll give you Boland and Doggett. 2 number 11s.
2 number 11s.
What did you think of the bowling that Australia served up for that last half an hour?
I think it was tired. I think they were tired. I think when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, and I bang on and sound like a broken record all the time about bowling is not an exact science. It's not done by robots. It's done by human bodies. You know, even the TV at the end there are going, oh, we think Mitchell Starc's got an injury because he was hobbling at the end. He's not. He's knackered. I mean, he's bowled you out in Perth, and 12 days off is fine. But once you start again, actually, sometimes having longer rest periods is worse for a fast bowler, because then when you come back to doing it, you know, the body's softened, it's not hardened, and it's, you know, the feet hurt that little bit more. So I just think they look tired. I think England looked leggy in their second innings after only bowling for 30 overs in the first innings at Perth, and it come down to preparation. And I actually think, you know what? I think the bowlers look tired on a long, hot day. And the thing you've got to remember as well, and when it comes to the bowlers, it's a day-night game. So that they've been up since 8 o'clock this morning. So they probably had breakfast at 8 o'clock this morning. They haven't started, and they're finishing at 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's a hell of a long day, not just physically, but I think mentally. And I think that's where Australia possibly came a little bit unstuck there at the end. Going into day one of a test match, you use so much mental energy going to that toss and then into the game. But when the toss is at 1:30 in the afternoon, I think that has a ramification at 8:30 at night. And I think that is possibly why I'm trying to stick up for the bowlers here, because I'm one, and see why they did bowl not as well as they would like to have. And I just think that culminating with the body being a little bit tired and sore has let England get a 61-run partnership. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's the difference in winning the game.
Okay, well, we've waited 16 minutes. What do you want to say about Joe Root?
I mean, it was a brilliant innings. He never looked in trouble at all. I mean, even when he was playing his reverse ramps at the end, he still nailed them. Like, he hit one off the toe end, but he still nailed them. I mean, yes, you look at his dismissals in Perth. He got turned square in the first one from Starc, a great bit of bowling. The second one, you look, if any coaches out there want to sort of teach kids on, you know, trying to sort of look at mistakes that you've made and put it right the next time. Look at his dismissal in Perth. His bat was way out in front of his hands, and his bat was way out in front of his pad, and he gave it a gap between, you know, from the angle, whichever it was, right arm over or left arm over. There was a gap between bat and pad, which the ball could inside edge back onto stumps. You look at Joe Root's first 100, 120, 140 balls. I mean, he went whole lot together. When he defended into extra cover. He defended into cover point where the angle was coming from. He never let a gap between bat and pad at all throughout that first half of his innings, which built him some confidence. And once he gets to 30 to 50, I mean, it's very, very difficult to stop Joe Root from going on and getting a big score. He was magnificent. His head position was brilliant. Shot selection was fantastic. And there was a passage in the 80s which was brilliant, because you could see he was getting a little bit frustrated. Will Jacks was batting with him. Mid-on and mid-off were in great positions and were trying to bowl that little bit straighter to him. He was trying to whip it, but he didn't want to whip it because he didn't want to lose his hands and leave a gap. Still trying to hit it straight. And he waited and he kept waiting, and you could see he closed the face on one. And he walked away. He gave himself a good talking to. And then the next ball, he hit it straight back past the stumps. I don't know if you remember. He hit a beautiful on drive straight back past the stumps.
Yeah, I thought it was going to hit the stumps.
Going to hit the stumps. And that for me, another one from youngsters. You know, give yourself 2 or 3 seconds to calm yourself down. He got frustrated from the position he got in before. Knew he was in the wrong place. And the next time he was going to nail it. And that's why he got 100, because, you know, mistakes he made before, he put right, and once he got in, I mean, it's a joy to watch. And I mean, where would we be without him? Not just today, but, you know, throughout the last sort of 10 or 12 years, he's been an unbelievable character, a fantastic player, and I don't think he needed to get 100 in Australia to be going down as an all-time great. He's an all-time great, and that, if anybody wants to sort of say, well, this is what he needed, I hope the likes of Rodney Hogg and one or two others who have got no relevance whatsoever are just going to put their head above the parapet and say what a fantastic player Joe Root is, because some of the stuff he got dished up before this Test series was absolutely disgusting.
From Joe Root to Natty Wilby, who is one of our listeners, a big shout out to him. He has streamed 4,551 minutes of the Following On podcast in 2025, and he is, unsurprisingly, in our top 1% of fans. So a big shout out to Natty, and hope you're enjoying the show. So from Joe Root to Natty, and then back again to the cricket. You know, I didn't hear. Oh, by the way, how good is it to have Matt Pryor on TNT?
Yeah, very good.
I mean, he just is such a refreshing voice to hear. We've obviously used him. He was part of the very first commentary that we did back in 2018. But he really did add a lot. And opinions. I mean, he was going crazy when Harry Brook nearly reverse scoop ramped, you know.
And he was spot on, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
He was spot on.
And also, Harmy, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about having an opinion.
Yeah.
Right? And backing it up, you know, or trying to. That's what this game's all about. But anyway, I'm digressing slightly. Zach Crawley, I didn't hear the interview he conducted with Matt Hayden on TNT. But, you know, for all of Zach Crawley's... you know, the chances he's been given, the failures, the batting average, the 260 odd against Pakistan, the you know what's and this and that and whatever's. You know, his approach to cricket, even though he's 60 tests in or whatever, even though he's had a twin ducks at Perth, even though everybody's saying he's out and he's got a 1-year contract, all of that, and he still just goes about it in exactly the same way. And today was his day.
Yeah, it was his day, and I think that's what's great about Zach. I think his career would have broke. I think his career. Well, I think 20% of his career would have broke a lot of mentally weak cricketers. I think, is it mental strength, or is it just having the total belief in that what your skill set is and how you go about your processes can work every time you walk out to bat, and if it doesn't work, you put it in your bag, you take it to the next venue, and you pick it out again. You go through your net process, you get yourself in a position to go and hit the ball, and you do whatever you feel as though you can do to play your way. And some people will say he's had too many chances. Some people will say, there's a favoritism in there, and I can't argue with that because of the amount of chances he's got. But when this kid's on, and when this kid is going, I mean, I wouldn't want anybody else at the top of the order to put a Scott Boland under pressure, a Mitchell Starc under pressure, because he did.
He did.
He threw punches back. He threw massive punches back.
He stresses the opposition. He was stressing the big boss. You know, we were 2 down in a blink of an eye, and then within 20 minutes, he's messaging me, you know, a bit stressed about the run rate, as he was on day one at Perth. You know, and that's just something about Crawley that you've just got to admire, I suppose. He's just never changed. Never changed. He's just going to keep going. And
he has to keep going. I mean, we've got the same sort of agency, and I was sending messages saying, you know, me and him can get a pizza advert when it comes to first Test matches in Australia, because, you know, his will never be as bad as mine. But I always said, you know, the biggest thing I had was I was still on the field come Sydney at the end and played in all 5 Test matches. That was my biggest mental challenge, to get over that. I would also say that we did lose 5-0, and it was either one or two average bowlers or me that was going to be thrust into it when we talked to Andrew Flintoff about it. But when you have a player like Zach, and I think wanting to give him the chance that he gives you, I think you put up with days or weeks that you have at Perth for games like this to get you off to a start. And you can see why England have stuck with him. You can see why everybody loves watching him when he's on. But he got out in the same way that he normally does, that airy-fairy way, where the only time he doesn't commit he gets out because there was no committal to that shot. If you remember the shot, it was
but they were just bowling it back of a length,
really,
weren't they?
You just let it feather around the corner. There was no wrist. It was a limp wrist, as opposed to bang that he's been hitting quite regular. So, when Harry Brooks says we need to go harder when you get bowled out in a one-day game, yes, maybe Zach does need to go harder because he got out by not going as hard as what he had been doing. But look, he will polarize opinions. But for me, when he's on, I wouldn't like to bowl to Zach Crawley when he's on. You talk about Matt Hayden. He's not in Matt Hayden's league, nowhere near. It's a poor comparison. But when you're bowling at Matt Hayden and what would feel like 6'5" bowling at Zach Crawley, when they pick their bat up and it comes down at you and they time the ball properly, I mean, it'll be the same sound and a similar response to a bowler and a presence that it gives off, and that's what Zach gives you. But unfortunately, we'd like it a little bit more consistent. But at 5 for 2, along with Root putting 100 on, you give us a chance in this Test match.
Quick word for Mitchell Starc. We talked about him having to, really stand up because, of course, no Cummins and Hazelwood. He did so again today, didn't he? Gone past Wasim Akram as well in terms of left armers. He, in typical Mitchell Starc fashion, after play said that he still thinks Wasim Akram's a better bowler. But yeah, just a little word about the threat he continually poses.
Yeah, I think he's bowled fantastic. I think we've spoke about him adding the sort of wobble ball to his armoury, which has made him an unbelievable bowler, and even more of an unbelievable bowler in the last 5 or 6 years. His ability to swing it both ways is fantastic. And also, I think he showed you what an intelligent bowler he is, because when England was starting to sort of put partnerships on, he knew that bowling wide to Harry Brook, he knew bowling wide to Zach Crawley was the way to go. Hang it out there. Don't mind him hitting me for a 4, because I think the risk reward's in my favour as a bowler. And when he gets a chance to sort of swing it or have a go at a lower order, he tends not to miss. So it was a beauty at Duckett. Duckett, to be fair, got a good ball.
He did.
The rest, I'd say there was a little bit of smart bowling and pressure before that, and some poor shots. But I think that's the challenge of facing somebody like Mitchell Starc.
Brilliant stuff, Harmy. I mean, it was a wonderful day's Test cricket. It's the kind of day where I think you're right. England are ahead, but things can change so quickly. And, whilst England's score was reliant on 2 or 3 batters, if Australia can front up with 4 or 5, then it could put it into sharp focus. But for now, I think England will probably sleep slightly better than Australia, and they've got those runs on the board as well. So join us tomorrow. We will be broadcasting from 11:30 rather than 12 o'clock, and that will be going out on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel as well. And also, if you miss it, always available on the Following On podcast feed. But for now, thanks for joining us on Following On Ashes Inquest.